Hello everyone, Danny Garola, pinkbarnstamper.com, coming to you from Tucson, Arizona. And boy, is it a warm day today. I feel like I'm extremely crooked here. It is almost 90 today, and they're saying that we may hit our first 100-degree weather this week. I'm so not ready for that. But, it could be, worse. We could already be in the hundreds and miserable, but luckily not. And so I've had my AC running all day today out here in the barn, trying to keep things cool. So I just had to shut her down because she is quite loud. And I figured you guys didn't want to hear that because God only knows that would be a lot of noise. And it would probably be hard to hear me over it. So we're going to try to roll with it and hope that I don't start, getting too warm. It's okay right now. They did say at 10 o'clock tonight, it's still supposed to be almost 80 degrees. Oh, look, Miss Melanie said that it's 100 there. Ugh, yuck. That's gross. Yeah, I know where you guys are. You guys get warmer than we do. Oof, man. And Miss Linda said that they had snowstorms this morning. Huh. Well, isn't that special, right? You've got snow, we've got the blistering heat. So, you give one to take one, I guess. So we have had kind of an eventful day today and kind of a little fun weekend. My daughter had an eye appointment last week, or not last week, but the week before, and they decided that she needed glasses, and she got her prescription. So we took her to pick out her first pair of glasses. And I'm sure you guys saw the pictures that I posted. We picked up her glasses this weekend. So she's so cute in her glasses. I am in love. They fit her almost to the T, even though they are for much younger kids. Part of my daughter's condition is they have extremely little heads, which I know that sounds really bizarre, but that is part of Rett syndrome. Is their head circumference is small, and that's almost like how our doctor kind of knew what she had. Is some of the other symptoms that I said, and then when he took the circumference of her head, he goes, yep, I'm pretty sure that's what she has. That is like one of the infamous things to do with Rett syndrome is they have very small little head circumferences. So it was kind of funny that when we put the glasses on her, and they were like little kid glasses, and then we tried to put on glasses that were more for like a 15-year-old, they almost fell off her face. They wouldn't even stay on there. So she's got little tiny kid glasses, and they're so stinking cute on her. And then today, my husband was driving home from work. So we've been looking for a car for my son. I've been kind of looking for, so my son is a old soul, I guess you would say. He's really into like older music. He likes the jazz and classical music, and he loves the arts and loves like theatrical stuff. And he's kind of an eccentric kind of kid. And being 19, it's kind of crazy because when I was 19, I wanted like the fancy brand new like Mercedes or something like that. Not that I ever got that, but I'm just saying that's what I wanted. He wants cars that were like my day cars. So he has always wanted an El Camino. I don't like El Caminos. My biological father had one, and I thought it was hideous then, and I still think they're hideous now. But that's cool. I'm glad he has a thing. And so my husband was driving home from work today, and I've been watching like on Facebook Marketplace because I knew for his first vehicle, we're not buying him a brand new car. That's not going to happen. So I've been kind of looking around, and he really likes the old station wagon looking Volvos. And I'm down for a Volvo. They've always been great cars. They've always been known for their safety features on them. So that's what I've been kind of looking at for him. So we've been looking at this one, but the guy kind of hasn't gotten back to us. Every once in a blue moon, he'll shoot us a text message and be like, hey, do you guys want to meet today? Then when we tell him yes, he kind of ghosts us. So it was not meant to be for us to have a Volvo. So when my husband was driving home today, he sees this car sitting out there, and it is an 80s El Camino sitting there, and it's always been my son's dream car to have one. Now, him knowing that I don't like them, he was like, okay, to appease my mom, we're going to just go with a Volvo. So it almost was like it's in the stars. You know what I'm saying? That when you find something and it's meant to be, then it's meant to be. So my husband called the guy who was selling it, and I guess the guy was like, yeah, I live right behind where it's sitting. He goes, I can meet you out there right now. So my husband's like, all right, let me turn around and I'll come back and I'll take a look at it. I mean, for what the kid was asking for in price, it's a great car. It's a great starter car for my son. And the other thing is with these older cars, there's not all the technology things in it that when something goes wrong, you pretty much know what goes wrong. So he wants to have a vehicle that also he can play with and fix things in and all that. So my husband comes driving it home. He decided to leave his car at the guy's house, and he called me and he was like, hey, I'm on the dirt road. Tell Corbin that we need him to run over to your mom's house. So I'm coming out the patio with my son, and I was like, hey, I think the UPS guy is coming. Can you run over and grab my package? Knowing that it was my husband pulling up. Well, you hear the rumble of the engine of this car. And so he comes pulling up, and so I tell my son, and I go, oh, wait a minute. That's not the color of the UPS truck. I go, what? He goes, no, he didn't. And I go, yeah, he did. So he goes running outside to his dad, and he's like, oh my God, you got it for me. Because his dad had sent him a picture of it earlier in the day and had said, hey, I passed this car. What do you think? And of course, my son fell in love, and he was like, I want it right now. So when he came driving it home, my son was like on his knees. He was just like, oh my Lord, it's my car. So pretty cute. We've been wanting to do this. So it's kind of just kind of joyful to know when you can give your kids something that they've wanted for so long. And with him getting ready to start college in May, it's just kind of one of those things that's just another check off the list of things that he can now have to drive himself, because he has been driving my car whenever he goes to do anything. And then it kind of leaves me in a pickle because my husband has the other car. And then when my car's gone, I'm stuck home without a car, even though my parents have cars. And if I needed to borrow a vehicle, I could borrow one of theirs. But nonetheless, I like having my own car. So, it's just kind of fun to be able to do that for him, and then to just see the smile, and then him calling all of his friends and letting them know that he got a car and all the things now that he wants to do to it. I remember that age. I remember, see, can you tell that I'm starting to get warm? I remember that age and my first car, and even though mine was a clunker, it was still mine, and I could do whatever I wanted to do with it. So, you know, I understand how it works. So there you go. All right, you guys. I think I might actually have to turn my fan on because it is starting to get warm in here. But then again, I get animated and I get talking, and that makes me get even more warm. Possibly when I get flipped around and I start getting into cards and start calming down, then maybe I will be able to cool off a little bit, but we will see. Okay, so what do we have coming up? So just to let you guys know, this coming Friday, we do have cocktails and cards with my husband making a card this week. And then what else do we have coming up? Oh, then we get to do the winner of mystery stamping on the 26th. So I will announce the winner. Your guys' cards are amazing. I love seeing what you guys have been creating with that fun layout. Super, super fun. And I think I'm going to go ahead and get you guys flipped around. We have a little bit of news to go over, and then we are going to get into the amazing cards that I have created using a new product that came out in the beginning of March. Over on our online exclusives, we had a whole lineup of products come out, And I decided to go ahead and order some of those. And this one is called the Framed Scenes. It actually has a die set that coordinates with it, so it's a full bundle, and it's actually reasonably priced for being a stamp set and dies. And it does have some fantastic scenery stamp images in it. So I'm going to show you a couple different ways that you can color those also. So hold tight. Let me get you guys flipped around here. Okay, I think that looks good. If you guys are watching me either live or in the replay, please throw me some thumbs up. That helps the algorithm of YouTube to help more people see this video. Also, if you could so graciously share this video among the platforms, that is wonderful as well. Because we know all of our crafty friends like to see what's going on in craft land here. Oh, Melanie, I'm glad you know they are so cute. She is actually doing quite well with keeping them on. Thank you, Linda, for liking and sharing. Absolutely, parts should be cheaper. I agree, Kimberly. And that's exactly what I told my son. I said, you know, these older cars, you can find, you know, parts for them, even at like junkyards, that are still perfectly fine parts. It's just nobody wanted to spend the full money on replacing everything in a vehicle. And so, like I told him, I said, at least you don't have all the electronic-y things that you have to worry about. Because that's what starts adding up, is when you start having cars that have like all these chips inside of them and all that, and the computer mechanisms, and that just really starts, you know, adding up the dollars when it comes to having to have a car fixed. And we all know the newer cars have more perks, which we all have come to love. And as great as those are, you also know that when something goes wrong, that's a hefty bill. And normally you'll, you know, buy your warranty and all that kind of stuff. So if something does go wrong, but it's still, there's normally a copay that you have to pay. So that's what I told him. I said, I go, so the nice thing about you being a guy who loves older cars, you know, you have a lesser bill with it. I mean, minus the fact that his gas is going to cost a little bit more than what it costs in my car, because my car is quite a bit newer than his. And his has got a, I don't even know what size engine is in his, but it does, you know, cost more in gas because it's an older sports car. So we'll see. All right. So right now we have our inked occasions, March through April subscription for our paper pumpkin. This says it's going to feature textured foiling and hand painted designs. This is going to make 9 cards, 3 each of 3 designs. It says craft stunning cards with hand-painted alcohol ink designs, texture gold foil on the card bases and sentiments, pre-cut paper pieces and butterfly embellishments. And then it says it's going to come in this beautiful coordinating box. So you can always use that at a later time as placing a gift in that box and giving that as a gift. Now they have really changed things, and it could not be more easier nowadays to subscribe or do your pre-orders for Paper Pumpkin. They do now have this on the Stampin' Up website. So if you go to shopdannygarola.com and then hit the little shop tab, it's going to take you right into my store. You can either get to Paper Pumpkin by the left-hand side in that drop-down menu, or you can simply go up to that search bar and type in Paper Pumpkin, and it's going to take you to all things Paper Pumpkin, where you can either subscribe monthly, you can do your prepaid subscriptions, however you choose to get your Paper Pumpkins. So it's right in there. And also we have the, let me show you, it's right back here. We have the add-on because we just started that new quarter. So it is March, April, May for that new quarter. And this is the new Hugs a Bloom die set that coordinates with the 3-month. You have May or April, May, and June. June has the 2. You get the leaves and the flower. April, it says hugs. And May is a really neat little word sentiment banner. Love those banners. So really, really fun. Just to kind of show you a sneak peek, here are the next 2 upcoming. You have May, which is called Mountain Majesties, and Full of Charm for June. So really pretty. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and get started with the cards for this week. Again, I am using the framed scenes. This just came out in our March release of online exclusives. This has got some really fun scenery images in it. You've got like the road going through the forest, a really cute tree house, a cabin in the woods, a lighthouse, and then a really neat like stone bridge. So beautiful, beautiful sceneries in this. Then with the dies, there's a frame, but not only is it just a frame, but it actually has some texturizing in it when you die cut that, and I'll show you it. You have 2 ovals here that you could do, one for like an outer frame and then the stamped image in the smaller one. And then you've got this little piece here that also does some texturizing that you can put that on your card and give it like a wood grain look to it. So we're going to be playing with that. So in order to complete the cards, when you place an order with me of $35 or more, and you use my current host code, you're going to get a kit in the mail that looks like this. It is going to have its own project sheets with it. You're going to get a PDF tutorial for each card. And then it's going to have the cutting and scoring and all the kinds of things that you're going to need in it. You can always reference back to this video if you would like. You will have to purchase the framed scenes in order to complete the cards, as I'm going to show you, but you are going to get all the pieces of paper that you're going to need. Now, I will be using, on the last card, I'm going to be using the Nested Essentials dies. I'm going to be using these little rounded rectangles here. Now, I will already cut your pieces that are using this, but any pieces that you're going to need to make the frames or anything that I've used over here, I will give you the scrap piece for it, and then you can cut it out yourself. But whenever I use something else that's not intended with the kit, I will include those pieces for you. Okay, so card number 1. Ooh, I forgot to bring my hair tie out here. Shoot. Okay, let me move that. Okay, card number 1. Now, the way your kits are going to come, all the stuff that's going to go on the outside of your card is going to be on the front side of your base. And then anything that goes on the inside of the card is going to be behind the base. So let's go ahead and pull all these pieces out here. Make sure I got everything, because I know I've got a little thin, there it is, piece for the inside. So those are going to go over there. These are what we need for the outside. So what we're going to do is move this here. This is our card base. This is 8.5 by 5.5. We are going to do some cutting and scoring on this. So we need to score this at 4 1/4, like a normal card base. Move my cutting blade out of the way, and we are going to score that. And then we are going to move this down and cut off 1.5 inches. Okay, just like that. And then we already have our fold, so we're going to go ahead and fold that, and that's our card base. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my bone folder to give that a good crease there. And this card is going to be sitting landscape. Then my next piece, I have brought in I believe this is called Country Woods Country Woods Designer Series paper. Now this paper has to do with all the wood grain. And as you can see, there is a lot of colors that coordinate with this paper. And I love that for that fact. I love it when you buy a paper pack and you can really make a lot of colors that we have go with that. So this is called the Country Woods Designer Series paper. All right, so this piece here measures, I believe this is 5 3/8 by 2 5/8. Yep, so 5 3/8 by 2 5/8. This is going to get placed right there. Okay, so let me grab glue. Okay, we're going to put that right like so. And the color of my card base is Misty Moonlight, since I forgot to say that. Yep, the less fancier and the less bells and whistles, the cheaper it is to keep that sucker running. My minivan just turned 10 years old, and I agree. It's one of those things that when we ever have a small problem with it and we call the mechanic, he always loves knowing that my car is, even though it was the touring edition, it doesn't have all the crazy things on it like the new cars do. So he's always like, yeah, I'll get it right in. So pretty funny. All right, so for the inside of my card, which we're going to look at next, I have a piece of basic white. This measures 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. This is going to get placed right like so, but this is when we have options. So I cut this other piece of designer series paper. Now this is 1 3/4 by 5 3/8. We can take a look at this and decide how we want this on our card. So we can either go with that design, or we can flip that and go with that design. What do you guys like better? Do you like the wood look, or do you like the pink? See how that's got a little bit more of a pinky tone to it. Do you like the pink with this wood above? Or do you like, this is where I'm going to let you guys choose on this card. And then I'll show you the other one that I made if you choose opposite. So I'm going to give you guys a couple of seconds to decide if you like the wood or you like the pink against this. So drop it in the comments there what you think would look better with that card. And then I have a piece, this is pretty much a scrap piece of that same paper, that Country Woods. Here's the back side of this. I just have this dark, it's almost like a black wood. And then I have a piece of white, which measures, this is 2 5/8 by 3 3/8. 2 5/8 by 3 3/8. This is what we're going to do our image on. Okay, and then so we are going to need the frame. So I'm going to use the frame. So you need to have your designer series piece be bigger than your framed piece when you die cut that. So let me go turn around here and die cut this. Okay, and I'm going to show you that texture that you get from this frame. So if you can see all that texture that you get when you die cut that frame right there, you get all those neat little ridges cut out of your paper. So it's pretty cool. And then you get this extra little piece here that you can decide what you want to do with that. Okay, so everybody's saying the pink. Fantastic. We are going to do pink then. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get that adhered on here. And that's actually the same color that I chose for my sample card. So okay, that's going to go right to the bottom edge of that white. And then I'm going to go ahead and adhere that right inside of my card base. Okay, like so. And then we do have this little 1/4 of an inch strip. Now I picked the same color as my frame to kind of coordinate the inside along with that, the look of the front of the card once we get that frame put on there. So that is a 1/4 inch by 5 3/8. Okay, so our card's going to close just like that, but then you still get to see this really pretty wood grain here, and then you get the textures of both of those. So now I'm going to grab, I'm going to use the Lighthouse for this one. And these are red rubber cling stamps. So they already have the cushion behind them. I'm going to grab Memento. And I am going to stamp this right in the center of this paper, just like so. Okay, there's my image. Put the lid on that Memento. And then I am actually going to be using my watercolor pencils. And I'm going to be using the blender pen. So this is, I'm not sure if this, I'm assuming it must be a water base. I don't know, it probably says in the description, dual tip flexible brushes. But yeah, it's just a blender pen. It's got a little solution inside of it. So when you go to color, as you'll see, it's just clear. You wouldn't have any color coming out of it, but it helps with blending your watercolor pens. Okay, so for this, I'm going to take my Real Red, and I'm just going to apply a little bit of color on my Lighthouse here. Kind of paying more attention to making it a little bit darker in those places where I know I want to show the shadowing. So underneath that little top ring right here where you would walk around. Okay, adding some color there and up here. And then on the top portion. Then I'm going to grab my blending pen, and as you can see, as soon as I apply some of this clear fluid that is in this, it just kind of softens that watercolor strokes from that pencil. And it's just very light. You just have to barely touch that color on there. Okay, so that was the red. Then I'm going to grab my Old Olive. In my Old Olive, I'm going to do the same thing, just add some of that darker color to the shadowing of that and then lightly just apply a little bit of color on those trees. And I'm going to do the same thing down here in the grass. Okay, I'm going to grab my, this is the Cajun Craze, and just come right here where the dirt would be along that water line. Just like so. And then again, coming in with this, just kind of blending those colors. And then I'm going to grab the early espresso, and I'm just going to come in here and add some brown to the stems of the trees. I've got my basic gray that I'm going to do the rocks. And then with my, where's it at? Is that it? I think it was the Night of Navy, because there's Coastal Cabana. So yeah, I'm just going to use the Night of Navy and just add a little bit of color to this water here. And you can take that out as far as you want. And then in the center here, I'm going to take that real red, but go extremely light with it, like barely no color at all. But we do want a little bit of that to look like it's reflecting off that water. And then I need to have a little scrap of white here so I can kind of get some of that color off. When you go into a color, you have to make sure that you don't transfer one color to the next. Okay, like that. And then let's do these rocks. And then I'll do the, see how that brown came off of there? Okay, I do want to do the little house over here. So I'm going to take that real red and again, just apply lightly some color, and then the gray. I'm going to use gray on the roof here. Okay, there's that. So I'm going to call that good. Now, if you wanted to, you can take one of your lighter blues and kind of add just a little bit of strokes of the lighter blue for more of a sky. You can also use your blending brush with some ink. But again, it just kind of softens that up and kind of smooths out those brush strokes of your watercolor pencil. Now, you don't want to go too thick with this because it will do a little bit of pilling, and you don't want it to pill like that because then it gives you all those little rough marks. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to adhere this to the back of my frame. Now this is pretty close to the same size as the frame. It's just a little tiny like hair smaller. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to apply a little bit of glue, very thin, down the edge of this. And because this has these little marks in there, I don't want to go too thick with the glue because I don't want it squishing through that textured. Okay, we'll go like that. Take this, and I'm going to actually flip this over on that so I can see exactly where I'm going. Just like so. And there is our frame. Now, if you wanted to, you could actually put some dimensionals behind that and pop that frame up off of your image. That would look good as well. So that I'm going to place right on the front of this card like so. And I'm also going to bring in the linen thread. Now, I will include the linen thread in your kit. So I'm going to wrap 1, 2, and 3 times. And I'm just going to tie this. Okay, I did way too many than 3. Did I? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. There we go. Okay, I'm going to wrap that around there and tie this. Okay, just like that. And then we are going to cut this off. Pull this like so, and then it gives us 3 little bow rings there. Okay, I'm going to set that aside. Now, I know that I only want the top half of this to be adhered. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my, where did I put them? There they are. My dimensionals. And then I'm going to put 2 on the bottom of this. And you can spread them out a little bit further, but just so you know that you're getting them on there to fit your frame. Okay, so just like so. And then I'm going to place this, watching both sides, and the most important part is watching my top and bottom, making sure that I get those even. Just like that. And then now pushing down those dimensionals. Then I'm going to take a mini glue dot and smash that on the back of my little bow. And then we are going to put that bow right at the top of this frame, just like that. Because that, I think this linen thread works very well on your like nautical kind of look to it, because it reminds me of like a rope that you would see on a ship or something like that. Same with this wood. This wood really reminded me of a nautical like wood as well. So it's kind of neat to use our paper in versatile ways. And so this paper, even though it's like a barn style wood, it works well with our water as well. So there is our first card. Now what I wanted to do is I wanted to add a couple little embellishments, but I think I'm going to actually bring in, let me see here. I just had something come to mind. Now, whether or not it's going to look good, we will see. That is to be determined. If I can find them. I was thinking these little Night of Navies because we did that water Night of Navy, but I don't like it. So that's not going to work. Where did... Those little pearls might look kind of neat. These are called the antique pearls. Now I am going to add a large one. Let me get my take your pick tool. Get that off of there. I'm going to add that right there. And then I'm going to go in with one of the smallest ones. Now these do come in all 3 sizes, so large, medium, and small. And then I'm going to do a medium one right up, well, if I can get it, a little booger. We're going to go right up there just to give it a little bit of those little pearls, and because it's ocean themed with the lighthouse, we have little pearls. So then you can add your sentiment to the inside there. But isn't that cute? Love that little card design. It's kind of a very simple layout. You can do that with so many different things. You can use a punch. If you had a punch and do a punch in the center here, add that to the center as your focal point. Okay, so that is card number 1. All right, let's get to card number 2. Move all my scraps out of the way. All right, let's get all of our pieces out here. Okay, all the pieces to the front of my card, piece to the inside of my card. Now, this is my Mossy Meadow. And for this one, we are going to do some cutting and scoring as well. So we are going to, this is 8.5 by 5.5 as it stands. We're going to go ahead and score this at 4.25. Get my cutting blade out of the way. And then we're going to move this down and we're going to cut off 2 1/8. Okay, just like that. Now you can hang on to that piece and use it for a scrap of something else. That can be moved. And then we need to grab our, there it is, and give that a good crease. Now we have a scrap piece of early espresso. That is going to be for our frame. We have a scrap piece of basic beige. Now that basic beige is going to work for my oval. Now that is the larger of the 2 ovals. Then I have a piece, this is going to mat the back of our frame. So that is a, is that 2 5/8? 2 5/8 by 3 3/8. So we'll just set that there. Then we've got another piece of basic beige. This is 1 7/8 by 5 1/4. And then I have my Timeless Plaid Designer Series paper. This is 1 5/8 by 5. And then the inside piece that I have here, this is going to be 4 by 5 1/4. Now what I wanted to do is I want to take my scissors, and I'm just going to take my scissors and I'm just going to rough up the edge of this to kind of make it look kind of rustic. Oh, you know what? I should have put my darn it. I wanted to use my Mossy Meadow. I guess I can still do it. Use my Mossy Meadow and kind of distress those edges of this inside piece. Okay, that's the inside. So let me go ahead and ink this one up first before I distress. Okay, I'm going to close this for now and then come back in because this does leave kind of a mess when you go to add this texture. And I'm not applying a lot of pressure. I'm just kind of just running this down the edge. But you do it just kind of repeatedly until you get that kind of shredded look that you like. And it will leave a little bit of a mess, so just clean that off. But it does leave a really neat texture to the edges. Okay, so this piece here is going to get adhered right to that. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. My Timeless Plaid. So either side of this paper would work great on this card. Okay. I'm glad you like that lighthouse, Linda. It does look great with that wood paper too. Yeah, it's a very cute. And I like the fact that it can be masculine or feminine. Like this card can be given either way. So that's kind of cool as well. Okay, now this is going to get put right on that front flap that we created. When I look at these scenes, it reminds me of like sympathy cards. I don't know why, and I don't think it really has anything to do with the scenes, but it's kind of a simple, just to kind of distract your mind, look at this scene, and I think that's kind of what people need when they get a sympathy card. It's just a distraction from life. All right, this piece here, I am going to just put in the inside. Sympathy cards are not cards that I enjoy making, so I don't make them very often. All right, I am gonna now use I'm gonna bring in my little mini to cut this frame. So my piece of early espresso, put that frame down on there. Okay, and it got stuck in there, so we're going to need to, let me move this out of the way. We're going to need to take your pick tool, and there's little pokey holes up here that you can just pop that out of. Okay, there's my frame. Again, it's got that great wood texture around the edge there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to pop it up on this piece here. And we can do that right away. And let me grab some of my minis here. Okay, just like that. Pop these little backings off. And I think the best way to do this is to put this right over the back like so. Just like that. Okay. Set that aside. Now what we're going to do here is we are going to use our, if I can remember where I put my stamp set, I'm going to use the little Cabin in the Woods. Where is my, oh, there it is. I don't need that sentiment on there right now. So the size D block works great for all of these little images. They all work on that. Maybe that scrap's not gonna, oh yeah, that'll work that way. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab that Mossy Meadow ink. And I'm going to stamp this whole image. Let me add this kind of the back just to catch anything if it falls off the edge there. I'm going to stamp this right on here. Hold that and let that marinate into that paper. Okay, let's see if we can get a little bit darker. I'm going to flip that over. If not, I can still use that other side. And I just huffed on that stamp, just, you know, a quick second. You just give some hot breath on it like you're cleaning your glasses. And that kind of darkens that up because it has a little bit of moisture to it, almost like a little mist. Okay, so that has been stamped in our Mossy Meadow ink. Then I'm going to come back in with my colored pencils, watercolor pencils, and I'm going to grab my, where is it? Early Espresso, and I'm just going to lightly, and I mean lightly, color in the house. And I just want to get just a little bit of color on that house here. Okay, I'm going to take my blender pen, and since I just stamped in our watercolor or water-based dye ink, this blender pen will pull that color up from the stamped image, but still leave your image crisp. So see how that just pulled that green up? Maybe I need to zoom you guys in a minute. Hold tight. Let's see if I can zoom. Can you guys see that a little bit better? So it grabs that ink that I have stamped with and pulls it out to add color to everything. So I'm going to do the same thing to the ground down here because I can see that this is grass. And same thing with the trees. Okay, then I need to find that scrap piece of paper to get that green off of there. And then I'm going to go to the roof and I'm going to use this is crushed curry. And again, just adding a little bit of color to the roof. Now, just know that because that ink gets pulled up, it is going to blend in with your pencil, and that's okay. And then I'm going to grab this is the Cajun Craze, and I'm just going to fill in lightly the little rocks that are on the front of this cabin. Come back in with this. Smooth out some of that brown. Come in here and do those rocks. Like so. And then the roof. And again, it's going to pull in some of that green, which is okay because it almost makes it look like it's a real cabin in the woods where it would have a little bit of like that moss growing on the roof. You know what I'm talking about, right? You know how your roofs get mossy when you live in the forest and it's moist, and you get grass that grows on your roof. We used to have it up in Oregon. Okay, so now I'm going to take my little oval and come back in with my, okay, I gotta turn the fan on. It is really starting to get warm. Hopefully this doesn't make you guys too nuts. Whew. Okay, like so. Let me make sure that is centered the way that I want it. Okay, that looks good. Then just take that top plate, lay it over the top of that, and I put the arm on the wrong side, but that's okay. Okay, cut that out like so. I just got to make sure my phone doesn't overheat. That's the biggest thing, because these iPhones, when they're doing a video, they get pretty warm. Okay, so put that over there. All right, so there's my little oval image that we just did. All right, then I'm going to take this and I'm going to pop this up. So now it's going to be the same height as my frame because we've already popped that frame up. And don't mind my image on the back here. So like so. Then we're going to take this and we're going to place that right in the center of this frame. Like that. And then you can see the different heights in here and the dimensions, so it looks like this oval has been popped up in the front of that frame. So that's pretty cool. So then what we're going to do is we are going to grab this card base and we are going to adhere that. Now we're going to watch this side and this side, and we're going to adhere that just to this little front flap. So it's only going to get the glue on the left side. Like so. Give that a good smush so that gets adhered down there. And then we could bring in those pearls again. But I think this is more of a masculine card where I think I'm going to use, these are called the neutral matte dots. And I'm going to use the basic beige ones right here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use, whoops, I'm going to put a big one and then 2 little ones. Let me zoom you guys back out so you can see what I'm doing. Grab another little one. Is that fan driving you guys nuts? Can you hear that? Oh, good. Kimberly said she can barely hear it. Okay, good. So we can do that. And I was thinking we can actually take those same and put them up here if we wanted. I mean, I think it's kind of good the way it is because I think this is more of a masculine card and I don't really like adding too much bling to a manly card because I just don't, but you can absolutely do what you want and add these same 3 right here, and that would look cool, or whatever bling you decide to use. I do like the matte dots because if I was going to put any kind of bling on a masculine card, I like the matte finish because then it's not super shiny and blingy. So then we would just add our sentiment right in the inside here. So this would make a great Father's Day card. This would make a great happy birthday masculine card. It would even be a great sympathy card for anybody. You know, it doesn't have to be a, you know, a label on it. So you can do it as whatever you wish. But I love that little bit of texture on the edge of these. Just kind of gives it that more rough, gruff kind of feeling to it. So there's card number 2. Okay, now let's do card number 3. Oh, where did I put all my stuff? Okay, here it is. Okay, let me move some of this stuff out of the way. All my scraps. Don't lose my frames. Okay, I can go ahead and put these frames away. With this last card, I'm not going to be using the frames, but this is where I'm going to be bringing in the essential nested dies for this next card. Just to show you that you could use the stamps alone with any dies that you have or with any shape that you want to cut. Okay, so let me grab these. And I think we're done with this. Now with this next card, we are going to be using the Stampin' Blends markers with it. Okay, here is the inside of my card. That is, well, let me see, what do I got going on here? The basic white piece for the inside is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. Our card base, what we need to do with this, we need to do some cutting and scoring. Move that aside. I'm going to move the insides out of the way. So this is 11 by 4 1/4. We're going to score this. We're going to score this at 5 1/2. And then we are going to cut off 1 1/2 inches. So the way I do that is I'm going to look and see how my card's going to fold. So I'm going to actually cut down this side. So what I need to do is I need to line this up on my 1 1/2 inches, and then I can come all the way down to where I know it's 5 1/2 because my clear trimming tool on this side, the guide, has measurements on it. So I know that my score blade or my score line is at 5.25. I mean 5.5, sorry. So lining this up on my 1.5, I'm going to grab that and bring it down and cut right to that 5.5, because there is a little line on the side of my blade that I just line straight up. So normally I have to stand up. Sorry, I probably just got really loud, and make sure that I made it right to that line. And then when I go to cut this, I'm gonna line it up on that score line and know that I'm over here lined up on my 5.5, because that's where we place that score line. Take that blade back up and again, cut down that score line, and you will feel it click, but you know that you're going to 1.5. So I felt it hit that mark, because it kind of gives a little give when you know that you hit another adjacent cut line there. And then that piece will come right off. And then there is your card base. It's almost like a little, like a barn door, I guess you would say, on the front of that. We're gonna go ahead and give that a good crease. We have a piece of the Timeless Plaid. This Timeless Plaid is 2 5/8 by 5 3/8, but wait a minute, because that is 3 5/8. I wrote my measurements down wrong. I was gonna say, I know that is definitely wider than, let me fix my measurement here. So we have 3 5/8. 3 5/8 by 5 3/8. Oh, it's because I never cut this. That's why. So it does need to be 2 5/8. Silly, silly me. So let's go ahead and cut this to what we need it to be. So this is going to be 2 5/8 by 5 3/8. Okay, that is going to go right on the front, just like so. I love this Timeless Plaid. I also have a scrap piece of the Pebbled Path. Now that is a color that it's going to be leaving us. That is going to be retiring this year. So if you like the in colors that are leaving this year, I highly, highly recommend that you guys get those now. Don't wait until the last chance lists come out, because normally those things sell super fast, because everybody wants to get this paper, everybody wants to get the ink refills, because they know that they're going to go quickly, because once they're gone, they're gone. Hello, Julie, welcome. And then I have a scrap piece of white that we're going to do our stamping on and cutting as well. So what I need to do first is I think I'm going to go ahead and stamp my image. And the image that I have decided is I'm going to use the trees with the little like brick rock bridge here. So let me take off one of these other stamps. Okay, that'll be perfect. We're going to use Memento because, like I said, we're going to be using the, we're going to be using our Stampin' Blends. So I'm going to use this is going to be the second, where I'm going to use the largest one on this Pebbled Path, and then the second largest for our image. And these again are called the Nested Essential Dies. These are going to be 161597 if you don't have these and you love these. They are fantastic for those nesting. You know what? Maybe I should actually cut these out first now that I think about it, so I make sure that I don't. Is that actually going to fit on there? I think I might need a bigger scrap of white. I thought that was going to work. I think I was going to go with the smaller piece. Let me get... I might actually need to cut another piece of white. I don't think I have any large white scraps laying around. Okay, let me get a piece of white here. Okay, that'll work. Okay, did you guys see where I put that die? There's the big one, right? Oh no, that's the right size. That's the one that I need. Okay, so let's cut this first. Ugh. Okay, there's that. Let's cut this one since we're already here doing our cutting. Well, that may not work on that piece either. Geez, I think I was gonna go with the smaller size. I think that's what I had done. Let me cut another piece of my pebbled path. So my neighbors invited us over next Sunday over to my mom's house because my dad should be back from Oregon, and they play, I'm not sure if I told you guys this or not, but they play a game called Polish poker, and we are going to all go over there because they are camp hosts up in Sedona, Arizona, and they are getting ready to go do their camp hosting for the summer because they like to leave us down here in the heat, and they get to go up there in the trees and the nice and cool and yeah, all that stuff. So they're going to be going up to Sedona, and they're there for, I think it's like 6 months doing their camp hosting. And they will, that's not a good scrap. So we're gonna all get together and do the Polish poker together because they've been playing it pretty much every Sunday with my parents, besides the fact that the last couple of weeks my dad's been gone. But we're gonna have a good time. They're gonna teach us a new game. We like learning new games. And it sounds like it's actually pretty fun and something that I can do. I'm not a real big board game or card game, betting game kind of a person. I like video games, but as far as that, I don't really get down on any other kind of board games. My cousins were mean when I was little. and it was one cousin in particular, but playing card games and board games with him sucked because if he wasn't winning, then he was not happy. And he would literally turn the board game upside down if he wasn't winning. So he made games not fun. So it kind of sucks because I don't like playing games with my kids, and I know my kids let me know. So let me grab all the colors that I'm going to need here. There's the other one. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started here. So I have Mossy Meadow, light and dark. I have Old Olive, light and dark. I grabbed the Copper Clay, light and dark. I've got Pecan Pie, light and dark. I'm also going to need Balmy Blue, light and dark. And I think that, oh, and I need Pebbled Path, light and dark. Okay, so I'm gonna start with let's start with the Mossy. So I'm gonna start with the dark Mossy and come in here and on the darker parts of this bush here, just come in here. And same with these two bigger trees here. And they do a really good job of giving you like these little marks on here that you can see where the shadowing would be to add your darker blends to. Okay, we're gonna do those 3 bushes in Mossy. So now I need the light Mossy. I just noticed my thumb. I fed my daughter a sandwich for lunch today, and I fed her Doritos. I have the orange in my thumbnail from where and I even washed my hands. But that Dorito really stained my thumb. It's kind of embarrassing. Okay, and then we're gonna do this tree here, or bush. All right, there's those. Oh, and I'm going to need, this is the bronze, and I'll use that in just a second here. Actually, I can go ahead and use that now. I'm just gonna do a little bit of that bronze underneath that tree for the branch and the stump there. Oops. Then I'm gonna come in with the Old Olive, light and dark. And I'm gonna do it on these bushes back here. And then the grass on the ground. Okay, and then the light Old Olive. Okay, and then, oops, I forgot the stump on this tree here. Looked awfully bare. Okay, coming in with light and or dark and light copper clay. I'm gonna take the copper and just kind of come in here And a couple of these little spots on the bridge that have that. Then grabbing the light. Yeah, me and my husband like playing Fortnite, which I know that's goofy, but that's my video game of choice. And I have another game that I like playing. It's called 7 Days, and it's all about zombies. I'm a total zombie fan. Then I have Dark and Light Pecan Pie. And every 7 days on this video game is a zombie apocalypse. And you have to build a home and you have to build structures to keep the zombies from attacking you. I know I'm a dork, but it's my jam. Okay, then with Balmy Blue, Light and Dark, I'm going to do the light first. And you don't have to take that all the way down. I just decided that I would just color this whole piece in here. Okay. Then come in with the dark. Darken in the shadow of that bridge and the rocks here. Okay, and then what we have left is Dark and Light Pebbled, and that is for these big boulders that are sticking out of the water here. Okay, there's that. And if you wanted to, you could do some pool party up in the sky to make it where it doesn't look like it's so like stark white up there, but I'm gonna leave it alone because I think there's a lot of color on here. I'm gonna move these over here. This is now going to get put on here. You could even take, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna take a little bit of Lemon Lolly. This was not in the plans, but I think it needs it. Oops. I'm going to use this one, I think. Let's see this. I got to take all these in and wash them. My colors have been all so mixed around. So I'm going to take just a little bit of that Lemon Lolly ink, and I'm just going to kind of put it up in this corner over here like it's the sunshine shining through. I guess we can go all the way around with it. That'll work. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, much better. And again, you could do that with the pool party if you choose. Okay, I'm gonna put that on this pebbled path. Okay, there's that. And then we're gonna bring that card base back in. Let's adhere this to the front of this card. Okay, let's do the inside piece. Yeah, I think I agree with you 100%, Kimberly. You'll stick with cards. Yep, that's my jam. Besides I do play video games, but board games are a no-go for me. And we have a ton of board games, like, because I homeschool my kids. So that was a part of our homeschooling, was to integrate board games as well, because there's board games that can be extremely educational. Like, we all know that the game of life, the game of Monopoly, which I despise both of those games, because those were the ones that I remember as a kid my cousin flipping the table with, and all the little pieces and all the money and all the houses and the people, all, yeah, he was kind of a turd. But anyways, rest his soul, he is now passed, but he was kind of a turd. So yeah, it's just kind of those games that we would always play. Then we have like some traveling games that we really, I mean, I would actually play the traveling games with them. And a lot of you guys might remember the old games, like they're not kind of in style anymore, but remember Trivial Pursuit? I remember my parents playing Trivial Pursuit, them inviting friends over and playing Trivial Pursuit together. That's not my thing. Like, that's a little too nerdy for me. Like, I'm not real good with history and that kind of stuff. So, or like naming movie stuff and whatever. But I remember them having people come over and sitting at the dining room table and playing that. But yeah, there's a lot of neat like kid games out there that are educational. So we kind of did school, it was called game schooling, and we would do that on our off days of school. Okay, I'm bringing in the happy birthday. Now you can use any happy birthday that would fit in this spot, but I'm using the Adventurous Skies. I'm using this happy birthday here. I really like the font of this. So this is what I'm bringing in, because there are no sentiments in the framed scenes stamp set. So I'm going to place this right here, and I am using the Pebbled Path ink. Now I am stamping that right above that flap. So when this opens up, it's going to say happy birthday there. And here is my finished card. Now what I could do here is I could bring in what I cut off that bottom, and I can actually put this little piece in here, which I think I might do. I kind of like that. I like adding that whenever I use designer series paper, I like adding it to the inside. So 5 3/8, and this is, how wide is this? I think this is 3/4. Yeah, it's about 3/4. Okay, and then we can go like that. And then I think we have some we could actually use, because we used the copper clay, we could use, and the pecan pie, we could use these little, because they're not super blingy, but they have just a little touch to them. Or we could bring those matte, if I can find what I did with them, and use those pecan. Oh, you know what? I actually like the basic beige with those. Even though I didn't use basic beige, those kind of look good with this. Or we could do black, but then black kind of doesn't look good with that. So no, we won't. Or we don't have to put anything on it. The pearls would actually go. But if we're leaving it kind of masculine, maybe we don't want to add any kind of embellishment. But we could go with either one of those. I do like these though. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use these right here. Now these are called Earth Tones Shimmer Gems. Now you've got the ones that are more of the very vanilla up here, or you have your basic beige. Now basic beige really goes with this paper, so I think that's what I'm going to use. And I think I'm gonna add, a small one and a big one and another small one. Just like that. And I picked the wrong color. Jeez. I just said I wasn't going to go with that, but I was grabbing them anyways. Silly, silly me. I'll just take those off of there. And we will come back down here and grab the large. You guys will probably be like, stop, you're using the wrong ones. Because I know how that is when you're watching a demonstrator and you're like, hold on a second. Alrighty, there we go. So we have pre-order for that new catalog coming out because we do have a new annual catalog coming out in May. And so the fun thing is us as demonstrators, we get to order from that starting tomorrow. And if you would like to get your hands on some of those items early and not have to wait till May, you can join my team and be able to purchase and add those to your starter kit right away. So that's kind of fantastic. If you would like a catalog, you can request one on any of my blog pages. You can see it there. It says request a new catalog. All you have to do is fill out the little form there and it will let me know. And then as soon as I get my hands on the catalogs, you will get one of those in the mail. Okay, here we go. Here are our cards that we created tonight. Now, this is using the framed scenes along with the framed scenes dies. This is a very, very reasonably priced set, just so you are bundled, just so you know. And it comes with these 5 really pretty scenery stamps, along with the dies that you can create your own little frames with. Now this is using, again, that is the Nested Essentials dies. That is what I used here for this card. And that's just a really fun little like barn door. And each one of them have a different kind of fold to them to give it a different little aesthetics than just a regular open and closed card. But you are free to create these cards. Now just know that when you shop in my store, this week through the 30th, which is Sunday midnight Pacific time, and you use my host code, you are going to get a kit in the mail creating these. You will have to have the framed scenes bundle to cut out your little pieces, but over here, since I use something outside of that framed scenes, I will give you the little cut pieces for this. So there you guys go. I hope you guys enjoyed tonight's class and you take a second peek if you haven't already purchased this framed scenes. It is in our online exclusives. I have added the item number in the description below if you would like to purchase this. Go to my store, shopdannygarola.com, and you can get that there. And again, the 2 papers that I used in on these two cards are called the Timeless Plaid, and then this is the Country Wood that I used on this card. Now, tomorrow I will have a blog post created that will have a whole shopping list that you can download the shopping list so you can see all the items that I have used for these fabulous cards. All right, you guys, have a great rest of your week. Be safe out there. Hopefully no more snow, especially since Linda just had snow this morning. Hopefully you guys can be done with your snowstorms and any of those that are dealing with the winds and the crazy tornadoes and all that kind of stuff. Hopefully you're staying safe. You have somewhere to go, that you don't have to deal with that kind of stuff. Don't forget, this week we have coming up on Friday over on my Facebook page, Pink Barn Stamper with Danny Garola. You will find me and my hubby, Andre. We will be live on Friday. I've actually created an event page there that you can click the going button on. And that way it will send you a notification when we go live. And then I will be drawing the winner of the mystery stamping. So you still have a couple of days to get your mystery stamping card created. That is on Wednesday, the 26th. And I normally post the winner around 5 p.m. Pacific time. So just so you guys are aware that you have the morning to go ahead and get your cards created if you haven't done so. So yeah. All right, you guys, take care of yourselves. Thank you so much for sticking with me and watching me create these wonderful cards. Love y'all. Have a good one. Bye-bye.